Morning, everyone. How you doing? It's Easter Sunday. I was reading the account this morning in the Bible about when Jesus died, and then a few days later, on the Sunday, um, it turned out he was no longer there and he'd come back to life. The bit that jumped out the page for me was when Jesus has died on the cross. This bloke came along called Joseph, I think his name was, and it says he was a rich bloke, so much so that he'd recently got his own burial cave. I know we don't have burial caves, but if you like, he'd got his own burial site. He'd purchased it and prepared it so it was ready to go. So much so that he asked to take Jesus' body and put it in the tomb that he'd prepared for himself, and that's what happened. And it just got me thinking for a minute. We don't think about our own death that much, do we? That many of us, prepare for it to the extent that we make those kind of plans. It's not in our normal everyday experience. Now, in a work context, for me and a lot of people I know, we talk about death and separation and loss on a regular basis, but it's always about other people. It's not personal to us or the people that we know and love. Not like it was to someone like this guy. And I know that first century Middle East was a very different world, that the healthcare wasn't the same, that life expectancy wasn't the same, that disease would have been more rife and less controlled and more regularly would have taken people at a higher rate and a younger age. And that's not our normal experience, is it? But that's changed a bit now. With this coronavirus, if the modelling's correct and 1% of people who get it are not going to survive sooner or later, then for the mathematicians amongst you, you'll have worked out that that's 1 in 100 people. And we all know 100 people, don't we? I'll bet most of us have been thinking a lot more about our mortality over the last few weeks, and considering the possibility of losing somebody that we know in a way that we haven't before, perhaps in a way that someone like Jesus did. We read a lot in the Bible about him knowing that his death was coming, or even for someone like this guy Joseph, who clearly death was something that he thought about sometimes. But what it reminded me of is not so much the practical arrangements of do I know what kind of coffin I want, or whether I want to be buried or cremated, or, what kind of service do I want? Although some of those things I've already thought about. I've got some songs that I want. I don't know about you. But much more about just contemplating the whole issue of life, death and eternity. Have we thought enough about that? I guess the answer for a lot of us is no. And I just wanted to take a moment to say to you, if you've not thought about it, this is a great time to do that. I don't want to be insensitive. I know that some of you will already be really worried about your own health, or for someone who's already ill in your family or circle of friends. And I know that some people I know, and you will know, are already struggling with grief because people have already been taken by this virus. And I'm sorry if it seems insensitive, but there won't be another time which is better than now, because if what we understand of this coronavirus comes to be true, there are only going to be more people who are impacted by that loss moving forward than there already are. And there'll only be one Easter, we hope, in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic. And I just want you to not miss the opportunity to think about, what does it mean for you, if you've not done that already, for what does Jesus' death mean? And have we thought enough about our situation? That's between you and God. It's not for me to sort out. I believe the Bible says that you don't need to worry about it. Yeah, you might need to worry about how it happens, because who knows? I find all that quite difficult to say the least. But the Bible says you don't need to worry about what happens after your death, as long as you've accepted that Jesus' death on the cross was for you. And it says, just come back to God and say, look, I'm really sorry. I've screwed up my life right royally. As you know, Lord, will you please accept me back? I know you will, because Jesus has died in my place. Have a great Sunday. It's good news. Jesus has sorted it out. All you need to do is accept his free offer. End of sermon. Take care.